G'day you beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be looking at Steel. We're going to go through his stats, his scaling, his abilities, and two builds that I use for him occasionally. Okay, so hopefully you go on to enjoy this video, guys. If you do, smash that like button, leave me a comment down below, let me know what you think of the builds, or if you have any suggestions, and subscribe if you're not already. With that said, guys, let's get into it. Alright, so taking a look at Steel's basic information, he is an initiator, guardian, durable, attacker, and zoner. He has a very good kit. His basic attack is a 2, his ability attack is a 3, his durability is a 10, and his mobility is a 5. Okay, he's a really good hero and a great sort of pseudo fighter support. His actual statistics, his health starts at 585, which is on the higher end for the fighter grouping. He gets 79 health per level to end up at 1691, which is why his durability is so high. His health regen starts at 2 and ends up at 6.2, just like other fighters. His mana starts at 200 and ends up at 704, which sometimes can be a bit of an issue. His mana regen, it only ends up at 2. His armor for basic attacks starts at 14, ends up at 31.5, and as per usual, 20 ability armor ends up at 30.5. Okay, taking a look at his basic attack, which is simply called Punch. Starts off at 58 and he gets 1 damage increase per level, which is quite good. He only has 0.6 power scaling, but that's really not too bad for a fighter. He has 20% cleave rating, which means that if you've got a bunch of minions in front of you and you attack one minion, the minions off to the side will cop 20% of your damage, and he has a cooldown of 1.2 seconds, which is pretty standard. Means you can attack once every 1.2 seconds. Moving on to his Bull Rush, which is the first ability that I normally take. It is Steel charges forward, dealing damage and knocking back an enemy he hits. The charge distance is 1600 units, so think as far as Murdoch can shoot. The power scaling is 0.8, meaning you'll get 80 damage for every 100 power you put on your build. The cooldown is 12 seconds flat. The ability damage starts at 75 and ends up at 210, so it does actually pack a punch. And with the power scaling, it's quite nice. The mana cost starts at 65 and ends up at 80. It's a very good ability, especially when you're following up your ultimate to push people even further away from their teammates, to just single them out and just burst them down. It's a great ability, and it's one that I normally take first or second when I start the game. Next up, we have Force Shield. Steel creates an energy barrier that blocks enemy projectiles and applies a slow to them if they touch it. The movement speed slow is 180, which is very nice. The mana cost starts at 100 and goes to 160, so it's quite expensive. The slow duration lasts for 3 seconds, and the cooldown starts at 24 seconds and ends up at 12 seconds at max level. It doesn't actually say how long the shield stays up for, but it's around about 5 or 6 seconds, I believe. It's a very good ability when supporting your team's ranger against another ranger. You can put this shield up right in front of the tower that you're attacking. Your hero will be able to shoot through your shield, and the enemy hero will not be able to shoot through it, so it gives you a massive advantage. Helps you to keep your minions alive while you're pushing a tower. It also helps to keep yourself alive while you are defending a tower and stop the enemy from actually attacking the tower. It is a really good ability. It's kind of underrated, I feel like, but it can be quite impactful in a team fight, just being able to zone out any rangers that are trying to attack from a distance and stop them from damaging in team fights. Next up, we have Bulwark or Bulwark. Steel's shield blocks all non-AoE damage that passes through the shield. While deployed, Steel cannot turn, but can move normally otherwise. Attacking or reactivating will allow normal movement again. So the damage block that it actually does, at level 1 it's 60%, at level 4 it's 90%. The mana cost is 50 flat, the cooldown is 12 seconds flat, and it lasts for 3 seconds. This is an ability that was arguably useless in Legacy, up until the changes that came out when Monolith happened. It was pretty much useless. It did bugger all, and it wasn't It wasn't something that I would ever spec into, only when I had to. Now though, the 90% damage block is ridiculous. As it says, it doesn't block AoE damage, so if like Gideon drops a meteor on you, it's still going to hurt you, but just think rangers attacking you, okay? So think someone like Murdoch or Twin Blast attacking you with basic attacks. It's going to reduce the damage that they do by 90%. So if they're hitting for, say, 600 on a crit, they will actually only be damaging you for 60. Imagine that you are pressing towards them with the shield up, copying only 10% of their damage, while your ranger follows up behind you, attacking them for full damage. It's actually quite good now. And moving on to his last ability, which is his ultimate, which is called Shield Slam. Steel slams down at a targeted area, knocking up all enemies, dealing damage, and also applying a short stun. The stun duration lasts for 2 seconds, which is enough time to get around behind them and then push them forward with your charge. The power scaling is 0.9, which is beautiful, means you get 90 extra damage per 100 power you put on your build. The cooldown starts at 90 and ends up at 60, which is nice. 60-second cooldown on something like this is brilliant. The ability damage starts at 210 and ends up at 430. So as you can see with the 430 damage and the 0.9 power scaling, you can get a lot of damage out of this. And the mana cost starts at 50 and ends up at 120. So once again, a really expensive ability in his kit. But a really, really good one. It is one of the best ultimates in the game as far as crowd control goes. If you hit a group of enemies with this, that's 2 seconds they're out of the game. If they're actually grouped up and you can circle around behind them and then use your charge as well and hit all of them, that's a second at least that they're out of game. So that's 3 seconds. And if your team is following up doing damage, or you have something like a Gideon ult above, or a howitzer or gadget ult, you are going to melt some people. And it is the main reason why a lot of people actually hate Steel at the moment. He's very, very strong. He's definitely very meta, and with the ability to run some of the order cards, the order active cards like Honor the Pure and Purity Censer, he just becomes a really great asset to your team. He's not, in my opinion, maybe not as good as someone like Deca, who can, is the queen of the wombo combo with her cage, but he's an extremely, extremely good hero. You can use all of his abilities sort of together to make a lot of stuff happen. As I said, you can ult in, then charge back towards your friendly heroes to push a single hero out of position even more and finish them off. You can also ult to the edge of a tower and then push someone off of a tower to secure a kill for your team. He's a really, really good hero. He works well with everyone, and he's able to couple a fair amount of damage. So we're going to move on to the builds that I have for him, one of which is a kind of tankier build that uses these active cards. The other one's a more selfish damage dealer. So we'll head over there and hopefully you like them. Alright guys, here we are over on the deck builder. Let's just get rid of that, make it a bit cleaner. So we're going to look at two builds today. One is a build that I wish would work better than it does, and that's called Punch Drunk. Okay, it's very, very expensive, and it's built around just mainly being tanky. Okay, I did have this a little bit different before. I had 3 greater healths on this Guardian's Ward to make it even tankier, but it's just so damn ineffective because A, armor is way too expensive to build and actually have it work the way that you want it to, and B, the amount of times that you end up needing a little bit of damage, it's just ridiculous. So I built that as a damage card. But starting off, taking the Centurion as per usual. Okay, we have a Guardian's Ward, which is going to give us health as the fully upgraded bonus with 3 major casts or major strikes. Okay, so just that is major strikes or major casts, 3 of them. We then have an Amulet of the Veteran with 3 greater healths or divine healths. Okay, we then have a Quantum Casing with 3 minor guards. Okay, this is to give us mana regen and a little bit of armor. Alright, because he does, believe it or not, he does go through his mana pool really, really quick, and you'll be wishing that you had a shield when you don't. So next up you have Etherweave Mesh with 3 minor barriers. Okay, so those two together are going to give us a good amount of mana regen, just enough. Then we have a Honor the Pure with 2 celestial healths. Okay, if you do not have these, you can always just get rid of them and add, just put sort of 3 points or whatever, make up 8 points worth of upgrades on the card itself. So you could just go for two divine healths or greater healths and a health. Okay, it's going to do the same thing. And then we have a Purity Censer for those Aurora moments. Okay, now the problem with this is that we have 6 cards, one of which is completely reliant on Aurora actually being there. So I hadn't added these in just to make it look a little bit cleaner. Okay, but if she is not around, my recommendation to replace that card is one of 2 things. Okay, you have an 8-point card to make up. Alright, so I would either go with something like a Tempus Plate and make it an 8-point card with just health. So that would be 2 2s and a 1. Okay, so like 2 healths and a lesser health. Or if you don't want to go for more armor, I would go for something like a Whirling Wand, which is what I actually have on mine at the moment, and just go with like a kinetic, a strike, and a minor strike. Okay, so then that'll end up as 8. That can replace your Purity Censer. And if you're not feeling Honor the Pure, okay, that's a 14 CP card, so it's going to be kind of hard to replace. That is where the problem lies. I really think Honor the Pure is actually a decent card worthwhile running. You can go for something that's kind of a bit more expensive, and add some points onto that. I would not go for anything like Hydra Reverser or even Stasis Gem. I mean, Stasis Gem can work quite well. I would probably go for something like Tempus Pearl and just add power onto it. So you've already got 6 there. This is a 14 CP card, so you only need to add 8 points. So you would be able to go 2 major casts and a cast. Okay, and that'll give you an extra 14. It should be 14. Where is it? It's right there. You doober. Alright, so if we go to test the build, just to have a look at the way that I actually run it. Okay, so I run a Guardian's Ward, I run Amulet, I run both of my armor, I run Honor the Pure and Purity Censer. Okay, provided that it's an occasion where I need to use it. So Aurora's actually there. Okay, and then if we max all these out, that way you will end up at 66 power, which is nice. A little bit extra damage on your abilities, a little bit easier on the wave clear. If you're left on your own, you will have 2891 health at level 15. You will have 67 basic resistance. You will have 47 ability resistance. You'll have 764 mana instead of 704, and you'll have 4.1 mana regen. That's pretty nice. He's not a burst caster, so he doesn't need like 9 regen. He has pretty long cooldown, so you know you're waiting 10 seconds for a cooldown. So in that time, you've gotten 41 mana back. But let's say you're not playing against Aurora, okay? So you're gonna want to take that off, and then you put on instead a Whirling Wand with a minor strike, and a kinetic. That then brings your power up to 90, adding even more damage to your abilities and a good amount of wave clear. Your attack speed will go up a little touch, you will kind of notice it, and your max health will go down though to 2841. Okay, but that's still quite reasonable. And then, like I said, if you do want to not even run Honor the Pure and you want to do even more damage, you can run Tempus Pearl, which is going to give you the ability to make people run faster, as well as having your stun and charge and shield. It actually works out to be a really good kit, because not only do you have a stun in the way of your ult, a kind of stun and push in the way of your bull rush, you have your shield for your 90% damage mitigation. And you have your main shield to block incoming damage, but you also have a movement speed buff. So you end up being a pretty good supporting character, and you end up on a 144 power. Okay, a decent amount of attack speed, which, as I said, it's minimal. You will still end up on what is that? 2391 health. You'll have 67 armor for basic, and you'll have 51 for ability, and you'll still have the mana regen. So this works out quite well. It's just that it's really hard to build a proper tank. Okay, so the problem here is that we've got way too few cards on here. So considering this is going to be my support build, okay, the one thing that I always recommend that you take on your support build is a Circlet of Health, no upgrades. Take a Brawler's Ward, no upgrades for your throwaway card, so you can chuck a ward down early game, then back, get your Circlet of Health, and you have your proper ward for later on. Okay, so we're on 31. What I would probably take from here, because early game it's not really that big of an issue that you have a lot of health, this, that, and the other. I would probably go for either a Quartzblade, a Celestine Diamond, or the thing that I end up going for a lot is actually the Elysian Diamond, because you get 100 health out of it, you get a little bit of mana regen, you get a little bit of power. So what I normally do with the first one is to chuck 2 minor strikes and 2 basic. So you don't, yeah, okay, thanks. And 2 basic sparks. Okay, and then I'll grab another one and do the exact same thing. Minor strike, basic sparks. Gives you a lot of mana regen early on, so you continuously use those abilities. If you want to change them up and actually have 2 minor strikes and a basic spark, that's going to be fine. Okay, and then we only have 1 point left, and now that's completely up to you. Normally what I will do with 1 point left on a support is to take a healer token, give myself a little bit of extra health regen, so I can stay out longer. It's 102 total CP in this build, so as you can see, it's an extremely expensive build, and it kind of works. Okay, so we'll save that where it is, and then I will show you my preferred deck, which revolves around being very, very selfish, which is my Mike Tyson build, which is probably not the best name for it, but okay. So if we get rid of this Wing Carver Blade, because that's an early game card, get rid of the Circlet. We do have a little bit of ability to help our teammates with this, and we have room to add even more stuff, so we'll get rid of that, and we'll just look at the actual build. Okay, so I still take Centurion because I feel like he's a frontliner, so the health actually helps. But if you want to take an Archmagus, that would be fine. Okay, so we start off, we have 2 Whirling Wands, one with 2 strikes or casts, and a kinetic. Okay, so 2 damage and 1 attack speed as 2 point upgrades, and then we have the exact same thing again but 3 point upgrades. So 2 powers and 1 damage. So that's 2 major strikes or casts and a major kinetic. Okay, then we have a Brawler's Ward with 3 major casts or major strikes. We have a Blade of Agora as a 9 point card, all 1 point upgrades. We have a Rift Major Scepter as our 6 point card with all 1 point cast or strike upgrades. And then we have a Spear of the Rift Hunter with 3 major wounds. Okay, so if we go and look at the build when it is finished, it is quite a good build. He does a lot of damage with his fists, he does a lot of damage with his abilities. He ends up on 52% crit chance and quite a lot of power. Okay, so 204 power, 52% crit chance. He ends up on 178 attack speed, and he gets an extra 30 mana, which is not much of a muchness, but I figured the mana's probably better off to go for. So this guy will do a lot of damage. As per usual, I'm stacking all my crit onto 1 card, and then the Rift Major Scepter is not too bad to take, just to get over that 50% threshold for your crit chance, because you're getting a lot of power out of it as well. So you're going to hit quite fast, and you're going to do quite a lot of damage. Now, as per usual, I still do use this as a support build. Okay, so I still will start with a Circlet of Health. I will also start with a cheap ward that I'm going to throw away. Okay, so we've got a ward and a circlet. This one you're just going to go and put a ward down, recall, delete it, get your Circlet of Health. Okay, and then the same again, really. These sorts of cards are really, really good for early game. They do give you a bit of everything. It is still, though, 4 points of upgrades on a 3-point card, so they're worthwhile. It's just what you feel like you want. The 60 mana, or the 100 health, or the 12 power, or the 12 power and the health regen. Okay, personally I think that the Quartzblades are a little bit better, because I will take one of them, because this build we're actually doing damage, and I'll put 2 minor strikes and a basic spark on, and I'll take another one and do the same thing again, 2 minor strikes and a basic spark. Okay, and then we still have 5 points left, so we can have one more early game card. A lot of the times I will actually go for a Silverspear and put 2 minor strikes and a lesser heal. That's an extra healer token right there. Okay, and then we have one point left. So if we just go and have a look, we don't have a healer token on, which is going to be a good thing to have on. But if you don't want to put a healer token on, just put a cast token on. It allows you to not be backing and leaving 1 point unspent. But I'm going to take a healer token, because even though this is my selfish build, I still do a lot of damage with it. So I will put both of these builds in the description below, guys. As I said, a lot of the stuff you can just take out and put whatever you want in. It's completely up to you. But I hope you do find them useful. They are pretty decent builds, especially the damage build. It's very, very fun. So get out there, give it a go, and let me know what you think in the comments down below. But if you did enjoy this video, guys, please smash that like button. I appreciate it very much. It's very, very helpful. And subscribe if you're not already. But as per usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.